Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Living on Lemonade podcast. As always, I am your host, Lauren. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Today, I have yet again another story to tell. It's an observation that I made or had come to me, however you want to say it. And it not kind of, it linked me back to a life observation, which I thought was interesting. And I think this is when I talk about mindfulness and getting curious, a lot of these stories that I tell are just practical ways that they come up in daily life. So this is similar to how it can come up for you, but in your own context of what you need to learn or what you're going through. Anywho, I'm going to tell a story about my house plants. Now, I do not have a wonderful green thumb, not like my granny and my mom and my sister, anywho. However, I do love to have plants. I do have a garden outside too, and I was weeding it earlier. It has been totally neglected this summer, like worse than other years. I try to get out there like somewhat regularly, and I found that this year it's just been I feel like I'm not home. And when I am, I just want to relax and do the things that kind of keep the wheel moving, laundry, etc., and then just relax, like get my sleep. Sleep has been a priority and trying to kind of build my capacity, and sometimes that means other ways than gardening. So I went back there today. And the other reason why I dread going out there right now is the mosquitoes are absolutely horrid. I use a Norwex product called Body Balm, and it's meant to, sorry, got a yawn there. It's like a moisturizer. It's on like a not a roller, but it's kind of waxy and a little bit greasy. Anyway, I use it on like the backs of my heels if they get dry. In the winter, I use it on the backs of my hands. Anyway, it has peppermint in it. So I use it for as a insect repellent, mosquito. It normally works really well, but this year, I don't know, they're like a super breed or something, and it wasn't working well for me. Probably didn't help that I was like sweaty and stuff. I don't know if that attracts them more, but I was just trying to really like weed quickly and get out of there. I didn't have any other bug spray handy. I think it's at the boat. So going back to house plants, that's funny how I can get off topic, right? I have a bunch. We don't have a ton of like good windows for stuff, so I have them kind of crammed in one area, and then I have them on a kind of off to the side. They do get some light, but not as much. So I find sometimes I have to switch them out just to give the ones that have been sitting off to the side a little bit more light. And for the most part, I have a few that have been growing and living for a while. There seems to be like a lot of the succulents I have a really hard time keeping alive. I think I probably overwater them and then probably think I'm overwatering them and then neglect them too long. So I don't know. It's one of those things I'll need to do some research on and just educate myself so I can be a better plant parent. Okay. What I used to do is I would just use a watering can. And then I got a few of those like bulb things that you fill with water and then just stick it into the soil, and it kind of just like drips down. I think it's supposed to be like what the plant needs because some seem to drain faster than others. I don't know. It was working really well for me. So I had a few and then I got some more because I thought this is really easy. And one way that I say stay organized, especially at this time of year, is I have a planner that I carry around with me in my little backpack. I take it to work. So when I work, I'm like the bag lady because I've got my purse, which is a decent sized bag. I got my water bottle, like my 1 liter water bottle, and all the other things. I got my little backpack that has like journals and books and my planner, basically things that I want to work on in the downtime because our job is to monitor the radio. So we have to constantly be like listening and alert. So I bring things that I can kind of keep myself awake with and such. And then I have my lunch bag, so I could probably streamline it and anyway, keep more stuff at work maybe, but so I'm like this bag lady. Anyway, this planner, I write in the bottom on the one side, I write like the things that I want to accomplish that week and if you look through my planner, it's pretty much the same list every week. Some things change a little bit, but I put like my investments, I put water plants. So I write that down every week because it's like it's my reminder. And then I look at like, oh, what days am I working? What would be the best night to do it or whatever, or best day. And I try and make it a priority. Otherwise, I forget to water my plants. So helpful tip if you have a planner or journal or whatever, do that. Just put it every week as one of the things you have to do that week. Look at your week. How's it looking? Are you busy every night? What night can you just squeeze it in, make it happen? It takes me about 10 minutes to water my plants. So um yeah. Anywho, sorry, my nose is really itchy. So if you're watching the YouTube channel. Anyway, where am I going with this? So these bulbs have been working really well until they kind of weren't. And I noticed that, and it really made me sad, my I wanna call them Christmas cactuses, but I think they might actually be Easter ones. There's, I think, 3 types: Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving. They have different leaves, different shapes. And I did notice a few months ago, normally this one that I'd had for years, it blooms the twice a year, and I hadn't seen it bloom, or at least not well, in a while. Like it just wasn't doing it as well. And then it seemed all of a sudden that one or two, so I have three of them. One or two of them was they were just like not doing well at all. They were just dropping off in chunks, like the leaves, because they kind of like grow off of each other. So this chain of these leaves were just like I'd find them wherever they'd fall, whether it's on the cupboard, they'd broken off and fallen, or on the countertop if they were on the windowsill. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've had these plants for so long and all of a sudden they're dying. And so this is the interesting part. I was trying so hard to like fix it. Well, like, do I water them more, or ugh, I'm trying to force out like these results. Meanwhile, I probably should have done some research. Anywho, this is how it ties into life. But what ended up happening kind of inadvertently is I kind of accidentally, not accidentally, not intentionally neglected them because I was trying to give them some time. I thought maybe I think the soil's too, because they're still cactuses, they need to dry out. So I wanted to give it time. But as it turns out, it when I was had planned to water them, it was right before we were going on our big boat trip and we were gonna be gone about 10 days. I ended up just like so busy with all the other things, prepping veggies and all the food and stuff like that the morning of, that I did not get to it. And by the time I left the house, because Eric had left to go get his parents and then we were supposed to meet at the boat. So I needed to be there before them so I could kind of open up the boat, get everything from my vehicle into the boat, food into the fridge, just kind of be set up and ready to start the boat and get going, right? So I was running behind. And I didn't want them to beat me there. So I decided, well, I guess I won't be watering my plants before I leave. And I was a little bit worried about it. And as it turns out, when we got home, I also want to note there were other plants that weren't doing well. Like everything to be seemed to be like dropping their leaves. And I'm like, what is going on? These plants were doing just fine before. When I get home, 10 days later or whatever, the cactuses had new growth off of themselves, and they seem to be doing better. And one of the other ones that had like I'd had for ages that was dropping leaves and they were turning yellow, which I think is a nitrogen deficiency, but like I said before, I have not made the time to do the research. I noticed that it had new leaves and it appeared to be thriving. And there was another one that was seemed to be doing better. So the kind of aha moment I got was that applies to life is sometimes we whether or not things were like going well before and things changed, or whether we're starting something new and aren't seeing the results that we want in whatever area of life this is, whatever context, we feel this need, this like almost like this ego type drive to like fix things and like make things happen because we want to see these certain results. And it doesn't always like it often doesn't work that way. What can be really helpful sometimes, instead of like deciding what needs to be done to manipulate this outcome, especially if we like if we know the tweak that we need to do, then yeah, do it. But if we don't know what the root of it is, what can be really helpful is to take a pause, take a step back, just like give it some space, give the problem some space. Do what you need to do to, serve your cup, fill your cup, especially if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. Those answers aren't going to come to you anyway because your brain's not functioning properly. So, what type of nourishment do you need to then perhaps be able to tap into that wisdom, that intuition, those intuitive sparks, pulls, inspiration? Because when we can create that space, give it a little bit of time, it's like, when something happens, you say, like, sleep on it. Don't be rash. Don't be like, oh, I got to fix this right now or do this reactive action or behavior. How can you create a little space to then perhaps see the wider perspective, and maybe the idea, maybe the solution comes to you in a dream. Maybe it comes to you in that quiet moment. You're driving, or you're walking around the block, you are showering, when we're kind of in those non-thinking moments, and then see where it goes. So that's kind of that's what I've been thinking about with my plants. I accidentally neglected them and gave them some space, and they figured their own stuff out. So, um, there were a couple, there's one like my peace lily, and it's only bloomed once since I got it. It's very like finicky, but it is like very vocal, not vocal, but it is very obvious when it needs to be watered. Like it is probably my yeah, it's my most obvious plant. It you can it's very like its leaves will just wilt, and it's like, oh god. So I water it and then it perks right up. But the other ones I'm kind of learning a bit more about, and learning how to give them what they need and give them a little space to see if I change something, like how is it going to react? So instead of just thinking like, oh, well, it's been 8 seconds, it hasn't done what I need it to do or what I think it should do or that's best for it, and then having to make some other plan, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I've been watering it too much. Let's see. So I'm glad I ran out of time watering my plants, because then they're doing so much better. And I finally watered them, I don't know, last night or the night before. It had been another kind of stretch. So yeah. Anyway, they're doing better. And that's kind of my little story for today for life. So if something's going on and you feel like you need to take control of the answers, but you don't know what the answers are, how can you take a step back? How can you set the intention that the answer will come, or you'll be pulled in a certain way, or just put it out there. I mean, whether you believe in it or not is that's up to you, I guess. But sometimes it helps. Just create a little bit of space. It gets your brain on a subconscious level also working on it. Our brain is always working on problems when we sleep. This is why sometimes we wake up and we've had a dream about the thing we've been thinking about, and we have a solution. Whether or not it actually works, our subconscious brain is always trying to provide answers to the things that we haven't figured out yet. It's one of the functions of that deep sleep and stuff. It's restoring our body and our brain, but it's also continuing to work on the things that we haven't figured out in conscious life. So I hope that was helpful. I hope everyone's doing well. Coming up, oh gosh, I did it again. I meant to look up the dates because I can't seem to keep stuff in my brain lately. I just worked 7 of 8 days in a row. I'm tired. I had a good sleep last night, though. We were actually supposed to go away this weekend, and I listened to my body. So I was starting to get a bit of a scratchy throat, and that happens when I'm not keeping up with my sleep and stuff. And sleep becomes the priority. Okay, so coming up is the chill out class that's on the Wim Hof method. That's Tuesday, August 20th at 8 p.m. I will go live in the Living on Lemonade group, and it will be a podcast after that. Depends on what type of how you like to consume your content. And Soul Care Hour, the next one will be Wednesday, August 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that's our daytime one. Now, the last one that we just did a few days ago, we did it on August 6th, Tuesday, August 6th. It was so lovely. We had 2 women pop on with me. We were talking about just like some of our struggles or what we've been navigating that might be uncomfortable or we're just struggling with a little bit, and kind of like talked it out a bit. And then we were talking about soul projects and the importance of like having those hobbies and stuff to kind of keep that balance in life. It was super magical and like soul led, how do I want to say that? Endeavors, I guess. Projects, that's the one. Soul led projects. So these are the soul care hours. If you're not familiar with them, they are through the Living on Lemonade community on Facebook. It's a community and mentorship hour where we just whoever pops in, it's like, hey, what's going on, how are you? We check in on each other, we see what's going on in life. If someone's navigating something, we hold space so that they can either kind of just have a listening ear and people to hold space and listen to them, or if they want to work it out a little bit and have a bit of a sounding board, some back and forth interaction, we're happy to do that. It's not just about like, oh, this is your solution. It's very much like, what do you need right now from us? How can we support you? And sometimes people just need someone to listen and they get things off their chest, they feel good. Sometimes we're like, I'm struggling with this, like, what do you guys think? And we just put out ideas and bounce off each other, and we all have nuggets to take away. So um that's about it for now. I think I'm going to do a second episode so that I'm ahead of the game. We will be camping soon, and then I got other stuff going on, so I want to make sure I'm not behind the ball. All right, everyone. This is the end of this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I didn't get sidetracked too much, and I hope there's a nugget for you to take away in your mindfulness and curiosity journey. As always, it's a pleasure. I hope to see you on the socials, in the Living on Lemonade group as I slowly build my capacity and a capacity for myself and to grow the community. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.